Hello everyone, and welcome back to Russell's Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff that's mostly pretty good, maybe one of the best movies of all time, or a film that absolutely sucks and should remain in the depths of hell. Now, it's been a while since I did a movie review on this channel. It's been about a couple weeks since my actual last video on here, which was should have been the Black Friday haul of 2021. But yeah, the last movie review I did was October 31st of this year. So it's certainly about time to do another movie review. But you know what? Since I thought, I've been gone for so long, and by gone I mean, just barely over a month. I wanted to do something special, and this idea I've had on the back of my mind for about a few months now. And I knew when I had this idea, I couldn't do it alone. So, as you guys could tell by the title of the thumbnail, we are going to be reviewing The Outsiders, released in 1983 and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And you guys may be wondering, I can always see you on the screen. Well, that's why I have a very special guest with me. He hasn't appeared in a single movie review since, probably about, almost a year ago.
Yep.
Yeah, and you guys could probably...
Home Alone 2 review?
It was the Home Alone 1 review, because you weren't in the second one.
Oh, right.
That was when all of a sudden, everyone started joining in the middle, near the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Chad joined and the Big Nash joined, and we were just like, what is going on? But yeah, you guys could tell. It's Dylan Hessler, a.k.a. Dr. Elma on YouTube. Say hello.
Hello.
So yeah, we're gonna be reviewing The Outsiders, which is certainly one. I'm just gonna say this right now. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not afraid of saying that, and we'll figure out Dylan's opinions probably at the end of this review. But obviously we can't start with the film. It's obviously based on the book, so let's talk about the book. This book was released in 1968. And, was kind of just a mainstay for, most kids back in, elementary school and middle school. Certainly it was for both of us when we reached 7th grade. So, yeah, Dylan, why don't you give your quick little history on The Outsiders?
Okay, so basically in 7th grade, I believe we read 2 or 3 books that year. The first one was The Hobbit, and then right after we read that, our teacher gave us The Outsiders. And we read that, and I think pretty much everyone in the class enjoyed it.
Yeah. I forgot the first book we actually read. But I know that the second or third one, was The Outsiders. And back then, I didn't really like reading books that much, even to this day. I'm not a book-savvy kind of person. I'll occasionally pick one up if I actually, feel like it, but I rarely do. So when my teacher said, all right, we're going to be reading The Outsiders, I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to like this one, so I'm going to go in with very low expectations. And I was thoroughly surprised with how good this actually was. This made me, think. It made me emotional. It was a roller coaster of emotions, and I loved it. I loved reading this book back in 7th grade. And, obviously, that made me want to go and pick a copy up myself. I don't know if Dylan has a copy of the book.
I do not.
You should get one, because it's good. It's good. So, we read the book. I quite enjoyed it. And like Dylan said, pretty much everyone in our classes did. And then all of a sudden, our teacher goes, so yeah, we just finished reading the book. Why don't we go and watch the movie? So, Dylan, why don't you give off your experience of how you watched the film version of The Outsiders?
So I remember it was a Friday. School's about to end that week. And we just watched The Outsiders for the entirety of core class. And we watched the director's cut.
Yeah, so don't want to watch the complete novel version, which from this point on we're just going to be referring to it as the director's cut because it's better to say it like that than saying the complete novel version. So yeah, don't watch the director's cut for his first time actually watching the movie. Me, on the other hand, I watched the theatrical cut. Now, up until this year, this is how you can watch both versions of The Outsiders. You can only watch the theatrical cut on this bare bones DVD, which only comes with the theatrical trailer, and then English and French subtitles. And this was early in the DVD kind of, resurgence in the 90s. Well, not resurgence, more just, it, exploding onto the mainstream back in, I believe the original release of the DVD came out in 1999. And it was one of those snapper case ones, but obviously this is the regular style DVD case, which came out in 2008. And I believe this DVD is out of print. So, because this is one of those early DVDs, this is one of those DVDs that has, the blank, kind of disc design. But the thing is that this DVD is in full screen. But luckily, you do get a widescreen version. Where you might, ask, where is that? It's on the back side. So, if you want to watch the widescreen version of this DVD, you have to every single time flip the disc over in order to watch the widescreen version. So, you could see how that could become very tedious after a while. But when I initially watched it, I watched it in full screen. And for the longest time, this was the only version that I watched. Because, I watched it in school. Literally could not find this DVD anywhere. Finally picked it up at I believe at a Barnes & Noble. And I also so happened to find the Blu-ray of The Outsiders, which obviously has the director's cut on it. And actually, ironically, the first time that I watched the director's cut was when I did the original review. Because I didn't watch the theatrical cut at that time because I already knew, how that was. So, but I didn't watch this. I haven't watched this one yet. So I obviously watched it for that review. And I liked it. I liked, this is a rare case where I actually like both versions on relatively the same level. Which one do I like better? We'll discuss that in a little bit. But Dylan, you never saw the theatrical cut. You only saw the director's cut. Am I correct in saying that?
Yep.
So maybe at some point, I'll show you the theatrical cut at some point. But I'm obviously not going to show them on these, on these formats, because although I'm still going to keep these in my collection because I love The Outsiders, there's really no point in watching them on this, because in November of this year, they came out with, obviously, I did a whole video about me unboxing it, the 4K version of Outsiders, the complete novel. Now, initially, when I saw that they were doing a 4K version, I was a little scared because, granted, they were doing the 4K of The Outsiders. I was absolutely, enthralled by it. I was like, yes, they're going to do a 4K of The Outsiders. I'm going to pick it up day one. But I'm like, well, knowing, how they released it before, it's probably only going to be the complete novel version, which is, again, the director's cut. So I was like, you know what? They're probably only going to release the director's cut, and just leave it at that. Which I would have still bought it in the first place. But, I was just fully accepting that. Then I discovered that they were going to also include the theatrical cut and a 4K restoration. Now, I was completely enthralled by this because I'm like, yes, both versions are going to have a 4K release. This is perfect. So I went to go and pick it up at Best Buy. Didn't have it. It was sold out literally as soon as it went online or went to, available for purchase, sold out. this had happened to me with the Halloween 4K, so I kind of knew what was going on. Shipping nowadays is going to be very difficult. And I actually contacted someone at Best Buy about it. And I think I told Dylan about this when I figured this out. But they responded back relatively early, within like 30 minutes to an hour, by them saying that, sorry, but this is an online-only thing. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'll buy it on Amazon. It arrived 2 days later. And, so I already showed this up, but real quick, it obviously comes with both 4Ks on their, both versions of the film on their own separate discs, which I do appreciate. Unfortunately, they don't come with a separate Blu-ray disc, so, if you only have a Blu-ray player, it's not going to work out. You're going to have to buy a 4K player for this, so just want to stress that out right now. But I have checked out both versions of the film digitally, because the digital code comes with both digital codes. So that is good. The theatrical cut, I will say, looks miles better than the original DVD version. The director's cut, on the other hand, it looks better than the original Blu-ray, which, I'll be completely honest, I thought that, obviously this is going to look better than the DVD version. But to be completely honest, this isn't a good Blu-ray transfer at all. So you're not really getting much out of this. If you were going to buy the complete novel version back then, you should have just bought the 2-disc special edition DVD, because that would have been way more value, and it probably would have had a lot more special features. But obviously now we have this, new 4K version, so pick this up whenever you can. But I should probably stop talking about the 4K and actually talk about the films themselves. They both look great, but the question inevitably comes of, which one is better? So, I already know what your answer is going to be, and probably everyone else, but might as well just say it. What is your preferred version of The Outsiders?
Director cut.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that. So, yeah, so Dylan's obviously going to go for the director's cut. It's the only one he watched, which I feel like that you honestly should check out the theatrical cut. We might actually check that out after we're done recording this, which, by the way, this is our second time recording this, so yay. But yeah, no, I might actually show you this when we're done with this. For me personally, I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate mail for this, but I actually kind of prefer the theatrical cut. I know, blasphemy, but in my opinion, there are things that the theatrical cut does way better than the director's cut. To get the one point out of the clear, in terms of an actual film, the director's cut is better. It's more complete. It's basically the entire book within the single film. In fact, I can name off some of the scenes that were cut out of the theatrical cut in my mind right now. One that immediately comes to my mind is the courtroom scene. In the theatrical cut, it goes straight from... Okay, I'm just going to stress this right now. If you haven't seen The Outsiders right now, stop this review. Stop it right now, because we're about to go into major spoiler territory here. So, stop the review right now, and go and watch whichever version of The Outsiders. Preferably both. And if you just watch them, welcome back, or you just don't care, spoilers. Okay. So, in the theatrical cut, it goes from, after Johnny dies, it goes from Dallas getting killed. In the theatrical cut, it goes from Dallas getting killed straight to Ponyboy writing, thinking of the idea to finish off for his, I believe it's history class or a social studies class. I forgot what the implication is they're doing. Can you possibly try and remember? Because I don't really.
It, it might have been either history or English because I really don't remember.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, yes, yeah. It goes from straight from Dallas dying to Ponyboy thinking of an idea for his end of class assignment, which I can even say it's a drastic change, which doesn't really work out well nowadays.
One second, by the way. I'll be back shortly.
Okay. Um. So yeah, there's that. And then the biggest change, in my opinion, is the omission of the courtroom scene and the whole kind of actual final scene in the director's cut. Because like I said, in the theatrical cut, it goes straight from Dallas dying to Ponyboy writing the story of the Outsiders and getting the letter from Johnny. While in the director's cut, it goes from Dallas dying to Ponyboy being sick in the house to the courtroom scene, and then the kind of brother argument slash reuniting, and then to Ponyboy writing the Outsiders, which is how it is in the book, which I prefer a lot better. But yeah, so there's that. Let's see. Another notable scene change is fuck. I'm actually trying to remember. Um, damn. Wow. I'm honestly forgetting. I know there's a scene when Ponyboy and Johnny are walking away from town after Johnny kills the Soch. There's an extra scene added where I think Ponyboy walks up to a whole bunch of construction workers and has a little conversation with them, which I believe was in the book, but again got omitted from what's his face from the theatrical cut. I'm honestly perfectly fine with that scene getting omitted because it doesn't really, in my opinion, it doesn't really push the story any further. It kind of is just there, just establish the world a little bit more. So it doesn't really, it doesn't, doesn't move the story forward. So I'm perfectly fine with that scene being omitted. And at the moment, that's all I could really say in terms of scene differences. I'll wait for Dylan to come back and we'll discuss the soundtrack differences. Because that's the biggest difference, in my opinion, between both cuts. So, actually, I could actually probably look up the scene differences. Uh, um, uh, uh, Mm, Oh, okay, okay. Now, okay, yeah. So I just got a list currently of all of the differences between uh, both the theatrical cut and the director's cut. Um, uh, okay. So I might as well just start talking about it before I start waiting any longer for Dylan. So the differences between the theatrical cut and the director's cut. Uh, a new there are different logos for the Warner Brothers logo. The theatrical cut uses the regular style Warner Brothers logo, which at that time they just started using. Uh, Before it was the Warner Time Communications logo, which ironically the director's cut uses instead of the regular Warner Brothers logo, which I don't know why. When it shows the studio logo, Zoetrope Studios, and the theatrical cut, it's just a blank black background, and then the logo pops up. Whereas the director's cut, it shows like a red lamp in the background. I don't really understand what that whole thing is about. Maybe it's maybe it's something a little bit maybe it's something that he did with his previous films and maybe after. I don't really know. Because, to be completely honest, I never really saw any other uh, Zoetrope films. So, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I shot back. It took a little longer than expected, but I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just going over the differences between both cuts. So, I just went over the logo. In both versions have a different title sequence. Which one do you prefer, Dylan? You probably have actually seen both opening credits.
Wait, are you talking about like the Stay Gold song?
No, yeah, but it's like the opening credits because the original one had like a yellowish kind of text and it just like scrolling along, whereas the director's cut had basically like the outsider's title scrolling along while showing the characters. and a few other just differences. But which one of the title sequences do you prefer? Because I think people complain about the theatrical cut title sequence being too long, like at 3.5 minutes, whereas the complete novel version is at 2.5 minutes.
I mean, you don't need that long of a title sequence. I'd probably go with the shorter one.
But yeah, I'll be completely honest. I never really knew there was a difference between the opening credit sequences until I actually started doing research before. I'm like, wow, that's really weird. The next difference is actually the whole actual introduction to Ponyboy has been completely cut out of the theatrical cut. So basically, how the theatrical cut starts, it goes from the company logos to Ponyboy thinking of an idea, like thinking of The Outsiders. He starts writing it, goes into the opening credits, and then it cuts to Dallas in the at the diner. Whereas in the complete novel version, it goes from the company logos to the opening title sequence. Then it cuts to Ponyboy writing the story, and then it cuts to his him coming out of the theater, him getting chased down by some socias, getting attacked, getting the knife mark underneath his neck, and then the socias coming and helping him. I personally prefer, in this case, the complete novel opening because, again, it's more accurate to the to the book, and it actually introduces all of the main characters that will be throughout the story. Whereas the theatrical cut, it kind of focuses on Ponyboy, and all of a sudden we just get introduced to Dallas and Johnny right out of nowhere. So I personally prefer the director's cut opening. But what do you think, Dylan?
I don't know, man. I mean, I haven't even seen the
Theatrical cut?
theatrical. Yeah. Well, I guess right now, I don't know. I guess I won't go with either, just for the sake of fairness. Even though I kind of chose one over the other earlier.
Yeah. The next change is the scene between Ponyboy and Soda Pop when they're going to bed, which is another scene that was taken out of the theatrical cut that was from the book. I feel like that the scene is actually really important because I believe this actually takes place after. Or actually, it might take. Oh no! Because this takes place before we meet Dallas in the at the diner. So, because I remember the scene fades to black and then it opens up on that scene. So, yeah. But again, I personally prefer this because it shows a better connection between the two younger Curtis brothers. And then the next change is actually a fair while after that. Yeah, because that scene is the scene I just talked about is at 8 minutes. The next scene isn't until half an hour into the film, and it's the arrival in the Windrixville after Johnny kills the Soch. And it's a short little scene where Ponyboy basically walks up to these construction workers, and I think he asks them about where the abandoned church is, because they don't know where it is. So they need to kind of get directions. I mean, yeah, it's from the novel. But at the same time, I kind of prefer it just to be left out, because it really doesn't improve. It doesn't, move the story along. It's kind of just there for us, for the characters to kind of figure out where it is. It really doesn't, it doesn't impact the story. It doesn't, ruin it. It kind of just seems like padding. So, what do you think about that scene, Dylan? Because I personally prefer it not being there, but I'm kind of glad that it's in the director's cut just to kind of show that, it's in there. But what do you think, Dylan? Oh no, I'm connecting. This is... Oh, there we go. So Dylan, what do you think about the scene in when Ponyboy walks up to the construction workers and asks them for directions to the abandoned church? What do you think about that?
You completely just cut out for me for like
Yeah,
the past couple of seconds.
Yeah, I know. It was reconnecting.
I don't actually remember the scene.
I prefer. I kind of. I'm just iffy on that. Really, it doesn't improve anything, but yeah. There's a longer sequence of them infiltrating or getting into the abandoned church. Kind of like the last scene. It's not really. It doesn't really impact the story. It's kind of just padding, but whatever. There's an extra scene after uh, about like a flashback to like happier times with like Soda Pop running into the room to wake up Ponyboy, and Dallas cooking in the kitchen. I think it's like it's like a dream sequence that Ponyboy has when he's in the church after the first night. He like wakes up and he sees like Dallas in like the archway like cooking in the kitchen, but it really just turns out it's just like a black hallway. A couple of I think there's one shot of them finding a manhole right next to the abandoned church. And then there's an extra shot after they cut both of their hairs and they dyed Ponyboy's or bleached Ponyboy's hair. I think that there's an extra line of dialogue where I think there's like an extra line or two, but it's really nothing much. And then there's an extra scene where basically it's basically just like a heart-to-heart moment between Ponyboy and Johnny about basically just like like how basically Ponyboy's like remembering about the night that Johnny killed the Soch, and Johnny just starts having basically just a mental breakdown, saying like, "Can you like please shut up about that? I don't like want to hear it anymore." Yeah, but I actually kind of prefer that scene. It's actually, I feel like that it bonds the two a lot more. So I actually prefer that scene being in. A couple extra shots during like the kind of montage of them just showing at the abandoned church, and then a few lines of dialogue extra when Ponyboy is reading Gone with the Wind. There's a few extra shots in the scene where where Ponyboy, Johnny, and Dallas are helping the kids out of the flaming church. Which, by the way, I still don't understand why there's a whole class of kindergartners heading towards an abandoned church. Did you ever get that, Dylan? Because I still, to this day, don't understand why there's just a whole fucking class of kindergartners just heading towards an abandoned church.
They were like, I think they were going somewhere and just taking like a brief stop there to like eat lunch or something.
I don't know.
I think they were on like a field trip or something. They just stopped there to like eat lunch.
There's a scene where when Ponyboy returns back to his house, he sees I think Ponyboy like walking from his bedroom, and he just sees I forgot what his last name is, but remember Tim, like a friend of the Soches, or no, friend of the Greasers. He's just chilling inside their house, out of nowhere. Yeah, so yeah, this was an extra scene between them two about him basically just chilling in their house. There's an extra scene when Ponyboy and Two Big go to visit Johnny in the hospital, and the doctor walks out and says like it's okay, you can come in and see him, and I think because the doctor says like you can go in, like he's been asking for you. And then after the whole encounter with Johnny, this is always like one of the more questionable scenes since I watched the director's cut. It's after they leave Johnny's room and his mom is trying to come in, and he's like like the mother's like arguing to like the nurse, like he'd rather see those no good punks than his own mother, and all of a sudden Two Big turns around and just, you're scum, like no wonder he hates your guts, like you can go straight to hell, you go right to hell. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like his family's like all sorts of fucked up. There's an extra shot of what's his face? Of Steve, played by a very young Tom Cruise in this. With like, I believe his nose is bleeding, and I think he lost a tooth. Yeah. Yeah, and then the next edit is after Dallas dies, and like everyone runs up to him. You just hear Dallas, Patrick Swayze, Derry, played by Patrick Swayze, just goes, "Stupid idiot, you stupid frick." And then I think someone else says like, first Johnny, now Dallas, and then Ponyboy passes out. And then it leads to the court scene, which was completely cut out of the theatrical cut, as I mentioned. And then the whole family banter and kind of, reuniting at the end. And then basically the whole ending after that is the exact same. Besides the fact of when Pony starts writing and he's like, when I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, you get an extra shot of the camera like steadicatting up to the door. It opens up and it cuts to a wide shot of the theater, and it hits end credits. So a lot of changes between that were added back into the director's cut to make it more complete. I know we haven't talked about them that much, but let's go over the cast of The Outsiders, since we never actually talked about them at all. So I say let's go in order from most important to least important in terms of actual main characters. So let's start off with the main character himself, Ponyboy Curtis, played by C. Thomas Howell. Don, what do you think about Ponyboy's actor?
Not bad. There are some good scenes.
Yeah, definitely. He carries the whole film. Like you could tell that he was dedicated to this role, like a lot. So yeah, I really like him in the role of Ponyboy. Anything else you want to say about Ponyboy before we move on to the next one?
Nope.
We have our boy Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso as Johnny Cade. What do you think about Ralph Macchio?
Another good actor. Obviously, was in Karate Kid.
Yeah, obviously with the announcement of Cobra Kai season 4 coming out, Ralph Macchio is getting a resurgence again. So, kind of good timing. But yeah, no, he does a great job with the role of Johnny Cade. Which, speaking of Ralph Macchio, later on this season we might actually discuss the Karate Kid series with me and Dylan. So stay tuned for that one. Anyway, we have Matt Damon as Dallas. What do you think about him?
Good. Very good choice for Dallas.
Yeah, the latest role that I saw Matt Damon in was surprisingly Herbie Fully Loaded, and I could literally see like Dallas in The Outsiders, and then his character in Herbie Fully Loaded being literally the exact same person if Dallas didn't die. Like he's like so good at playing like a ruckish dick kind of person or kind of character. He pulls that off so well, and I think it's because he played Dallas in The Outsiders, and he kind of just got typecast as that kind of character.
Wait, Russell, I think you messed up. I don't think it's Matt Damon.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right. Matt Dillon, sorry. Holy crap. Yeah, yeah, Matt Dillon, sorry, not Matt Damon. Holy shit. I legit just had a stroke. Yeah, Matt Dillon as Dallas. But yeah, no, like that actor really kind of seemed like he got kind of typecast as like that thuggish kind of dick ever since The Outsiders. Because like I said, his role in Herbie Fully Loaded, you know, he was the villain in that, and it was really just the same kind of character. So, kind of going along with that same thing. We have Patrick Swayze as Daryl or Derry Curtis. What do you think about Patrick Swayze in the film?
Another great actor.
Yeah,
That's really all there is to it.
Yeah, I think out of all of them, out of all the greasers at least, I think he's the only one that unfortunately did pass away back in 2009. I think some kind of cancer. So, R.I.P. Patrick Swayze. You know, he starred in a lot of great roles, and you know, like The Outsiders. You know, he also starred in a Red Dawn, as well as Ghost. So, like a lot of great films from like the 80s and 90s, like Dirty Dancing, Roadhouse, which is it's a cult classic in my opinion. It's a great, you know, kind of B movie action kind of thing, like film, and I still love it to this day. We have Rob Lowe as Soda Pop. What do you think about him, Dylan?
Another good character choice.
Yeah, you're gonna be hearing that from Dylan, like basically for all of them.
I mean, pretty much all of them. I mean, I'll just save you time. That's pretty much all I have to say about all of them.
Yeah.
Because I can't really say much more because I haven't watched the movies since like I was in 7th grade.
Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah. Rob Lowe, great. As Dallas, as Soda Pop. I feel like that honestly, in basically really ever since in the book, he's kind of the most underused brother out of the three. Because really, the big dynamic between the three brothers is between Ponyboy and Daryl. So, and then Soda Pop is kind of put on the back burner until really near the end of the film. I mean, yeah, you have that scene at the beginning, and then when they meet up in the hospital, which you know is a great scene, but it's like. Really, the big like scene for him is at the end, like after the courtroom when he runs out of the house and Ponyboy and Daryl chase him, and like they tackle him to the ground. And they kind of just have that heart to heart moment. That's really the scene where he shines. So, yeah, I really like him. We have Diane Lane as Sherry Valance, but technically everyone knows her as Cherry Valance. Great in this film. Kind of the love interest to Ponyboy, but even though she is the girlfriend to Leif Garrett's character Bob, who is a Soch, so she is technically a Soch too. Even and like I think Diane Cherry was about is about like in her mid-20s, whereas like Ponyboy's in like late teens. So it's like, how the fuck would that even work? But anyway, Diane Lane, great as Cherry. We have Emilio Estevez as Two-Bit Matthews. A great role for Emilio Estevez. Most famous for like The Breakfast Club and Mighty Ducks. As I mentioned earlier, a very young Tom Cruise as Steve Randall, who is, one of the biggest actors nowadays, Mission Impossible series, but also like some of his like lesser known roles for like Top Gun, Risky Business and like stuff like that. Very great actor, and this was one of his earliest roles too. And then finally, in terms of main characters, we have Leif Garrett as Bob, who is who's the kind of the main Soch that we get to see like a lot, because he's really like the biggest the biggest villain, I should say, because he's really the villain for like the first act, and then gets killed off at the end of the first act. So yeah, Now before we get on to near the end, to like our final thoughts, there is one aspect of both versions which is one of the most discussed things about both versions, and one of the biggest arguments about The Outsiders as a whole. You want to guess what that is, Dylan? It is the soundtracks for both films. So, the theatrical cut obviously used a actual score, like a theatrical film score, which is composed by which was composed by Francis Ford Coppola's own father, Cameron Coppola. I might have pronounced that wrong, but I'm just taking a big guess on that. I really like the score for the theatrical cut score for The Outsiders. I think it's the best score out of the two. But when they re-released the film back in 2005, 2006, they made the soundtrack into like a rock and roll kind of soundtrack that kind of fit this 50s, 60s kind of era. So Dylan, have you actually heard any of the soundtrack from the theatrical cut? I'm gonna assume not.
No.
I might play some tracks for you when we're done recording for this. But overall, I'm just gonna say this right now. I prefer the theatrical cut score over the over the director's cut. I feel like that to get the best Outsiders experience, Francis Ford Coppola, if you're watching this video right now, which I highly doubt that you are, but if you are, if you're ever planning on making a new version of The Outsiders, just make the complete novel version with a theatrical cut score. Best version of the film. 100%. In my opinion. It's literally, in my opinion, the best, score out of both versions. Which, in the theatrical cut's case, I can see how people dislike it. Dislike the score when you're talking about the theatrical cut, because some scenes, like when Ponyboy reunites with his brothers in the hospital, you don't really get much in the theatrical cut besides them arguing. So when you get this, big emotional kind of score in the hospital scene, you don't really connect to it. Whereas, in the complete novel score, you've had, so much, interaction between them that when you finally, have that scene, it's emotional. But I feel like that, in my opinion, the score in the complete novel version kind of, kills it for me. So if you have that score playing over the complete novel version of that scene, perfect. Like a perfect scene right there. I don't know if they actually have an isolated soundtrack on the 4K disc. I know they don't have it on, obviously, the DVD release, but on the Blu-ray, I don't think they have it either. And even then, it would be, it would have been the director's cut soundtrack. and trying to find the soundtrack physically nowadays is near enough impossible because you're gonna pay if you want to get the soundtrack physically on like CD. You're gonna have to pay a pretty penny for it. I know the vinyl because there is a vinyl record of the soundtrack. That's probably around like $30, but the regular expanded CD is about $100, and there was I think a 20th or 30th anniversary edition of the soundtrack that goes for like $200-300 on Amazon, which is insane. So if you ever actually plan on listening to the soundtrack, the theatrical soundtrack at least, I know there's a playlist of it on YouTube Music, but you could also download and buy it on Amazon Music for about $5 total. So, I say if you want to listen to the soundtrack, which I highly recommend, go listen to it digitally because, again, trying to find a physical copy for a relatively good price, which is, like, in my opinion, $50 or less, it's going to be near enough impossible to try and find. So, keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out, just saying, you just want to, keep your eye out for that sort of thing. I kind of lost connection with Dylan, so I'm really going to hope that this works out and, it doesn't overall ruin it. Because if it is, I really, really don't want to do this again tonight. Okay, I guess I'll just keep on talking about the score. Like I said with the, like I said for the complete novel version, I'm not saying that it's a bad score overall. It's just that compared to the theatrical cut, it's not as good in my opinion. So, okay, so unfortunately Dylan is not going to be able to join me for the rest of this episode, so goodbye Dylan for now. Unfortunately, yeah. Which I don't doubt him from leaving, but anyway. So, oh, and he joined back. Well then, I literally told the audience that you were leaving, so.
Yeah, I was just saying, one last thing,
Yeah, so real quick, give your final thoughts on The Outsiders.
Both the movie and the book are great. Either movie, I mean, it's The Outsiders. You can't go wrong.
Exactly.
And just top tier.
Yeah. All right.
Well, see you guys. Thanks for having me, Russell.
Yeah, I'll see you later, Dylan. So, continuing on with just real quick, finish off this review. Final thoughts on The Outsiders. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Both the book and the movie. I love both of them. If you can find the book wherever, pick it up. If you can find both versions of the film, pick them up. Right now, the best version to get of both versions is the 4K. It comes with both versions on 4K, as well as the digital copies. Digital copy, it comes with both versions of the film in 4K digital. So this is probably your best bet right now. But if you want to go old school, you can pick up the original DVD release, which includes the theatrical cut, and pick up the 2-disc special edition DVD or the Blu-ray. Like I said, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. So without a doubt, I'm gonna give this film an A+. It absolutely deserves it. It's a masterpiece of cinema. Absolutely recommend it. So if you want to go and check it out, go right ahead. I'm not saying don't do it, because I am saying go check this out. It's one of the best films I've ever seen. So go check it out. It's a high recommendation for me. And have a great day, everyone. I will be taking a month break, since at the time I'm recording this, it's about a week away from Christmas at this point. So spending my time with family. So yeah, I'm gonna be taking about a month break off, and then I will be hopefully coming back with more consistent video uploads. So I wanted to end off 2021 on a good note, with a Redux review of The Outsiders, and giving out my final opinions on it in 2021, with a more in-depth review, as it's clearly obvious, because at this point right now it's almost an hour long. So amazing running time. But obviously with the 4K out, it's like the perfect time now to do a new in-depth review of The Outsiders as a whole. Going from the book, how me and Dylan read it, initially read it, to what versions we watched in school, to the differences between the both cuts, to our final thoughts on it as a whole. So I'm really glad that Dylan was able to join me for most of the review, because really glad to have a second set of voice, a second opinion on it. So really great to have him on there. And yeah, that's really about it. So I don't want to end this yet, because I just have so many things to talk about, and also I kind of want to make this over an hour long. So screw it. So I mean, yeah, there's really nothing else to talk about. There was a television pilot I think that was developed after the film came out, that never got picked up for syndication, and there was never really talks of a sequel, because there was obviously never. I don't think there was ever a sequel to the book. But even if there was plans of a quote unquote of a movie sequel, it wouldn't really be it wouldn't be a reality, because Patrick Swayze at this point now has been dead for over 10 years. So it wouldn't be the same without him. And plus, all the actors by this point are fairly old now. They're in like the mid 50s, 60s, possibly 70s at this point. So it's like, do we really want them to go through this again? I mean, it probably would be a great experience, but again, is it really necessary? It's kind of such a closed film as a whole, so I feel like that, making a sequel would probably just taint it a whole bunch. So, I personally prefer it to just have this as a standalone film. And, I'm glad that Warner Bros. Is actually listening to their fans and, putting out a better quality version of the theatrical cut, because by this point, the best quality you can get for The Outsiders is the director's cut on a not-so-great Blu-ray. But to have both versions in a great format, both in the exact same edition, for a relatively good price, it's only under $30 on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description below to the 4K, so you can go and purchase it yourself. But I honestly do recommend this disc, or this Blu-ray as a whole. Like I said, it contains both versions of the Outsiders, and crisp 4K quality, along with digital copies for both. So highly recommend it. But again, if you want to go old school, you can easily pick up the Blu-ray now on like Best Buy online for less than $10. But again, in my opinion, I personally would go for the 2-disc special edition, which I actually might pick up at some point, because the transfer on this isn't that much better compared to the to the DVD. So I might pick that one up because it has a lot. I believe it has a lot more special features than the Blu-ray does. But I'm also still gonna keep this old DVD because this one I believe is out of print. So still gonna keep this in my collection. Still is the first ever copy I had of The Outsiders before I got the Blu-ray, and obviously before I got the 4K. So still gonna keep both of these in my collection, but I'm always gonna watch them now on this. So yeah, that's really about it for this episode of Russell's Movie Reviews. I hope you guys enjoyed this hour-long episode. You can click over here, I believe, or somewhere on the screen to go to my YouTube channel, or click down there at my username. Make sure to also hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos like this are coming out. And click over here, I guess, for the latest, for my latest video. And you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go put Dylan's channel on here as well because I did that with Franco last episode for last video. So I'm gonna do this for Dylan because it would be kind of stupid to not feature his channel for him being in this episode. So here you go, Dylan. Here's a plug for your channel, and here's your latest video, which by this point is probably Twin Trouble season 10 episode 5 or 6. So yeah. Go and check out Twin Trouble, because that's his main series. Especially this new season, that's really good. I'm not saying that because I'm in it, because spoilers, I'm in it. But yeah, go and check out this new series. It's probably the best ever in terms of Twin Trouble. But yeah, enough plugging. Also, go and check out all my social media down there. I literally just said stop plugging, and yet I'm plugging myself. So yeah, go and check out my social medias. I have my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Also on my Twitch, because I'm going to be hopefully doing some live streaming again with Aliens, Fireteam Elite. Probably some GTA sessions as well. And like I said, go and check out the Amazon link to the 4K. It's only, I think at this point, it's like $27. But yeah, probably like shipping and tax will probably bring it up to about $30. So that's a really good deal for a really excellent 4K. And also check out the soundtrack release, because again, prices these days for physical media are just fucking insane. So go and download the Amazon link, or go to your available music platform like Amazon Music, Apple Music or YouTube Music or something like that, and listen to it yourself, because it's an amazing soundtrack. But anyway, that's pretty much about it for this episode of Russell's Movie Reviews. Like I said, I'm going to take like a month or two break off to spend some time with my family, and around either end of January next year or at least around February, I'm going to start getting back on a consistent schedule for videos again. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and have a very early Christmas and a Happy New Year. And see you guys in the new year of 2022. I'm probably going to make one more video in terms of a Christmas haul. But that's probably about it. So, yeah. So anyway, guys, if I don't make another video, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And stay tuned for whatever the next one is. Live long and prosper. Out.